This episode discusses how judges set the conditions that defendants have to follow while a case is pending, and whether monetary bond is required. Monetary bond primarily applies to felony cases, though it is sometimes required in misdemeanor ones. It's important to remember that these defendants have been accused of, but not convicted of any crime. They're entitled to receive and do receive the presumption of innocence guaranteed to them by our nation's and states' constitutions. Our legislature has directed courts to set reasonable conditions that ensure the appearance of the defendant and protect the safety of the community or of any person. Those conditions must relate either to the offense or the offender. Conditions related to the offense are designed to address the specific allegations of the charge. In low misdemeanor cases, a person is generally only required to obey the law, come to court, and keep their contact information current. In more serious misdemeanors and felonies, courts often require additional conditions. Courts often require a person not to drink alcohol or to have no contact with a person or stay away from a location. If a person is charged with DUI, they can be required to use an alcohol monitor, for instance. In fact, for second and subsequent DUIs, the legislature says we should presume that monitor is appropriate. A person charged with domestic assault will generally be prohibited from contacting the alleged victim, though the victim's thoughts are given great weight. For felony domestic violence and stalking, there's a presumption that a defendant should be required to use a GPS bracelet to monitor their location, though those monitors can be used in other cases too. Conditions related to the offender are those that look at a person's prior history rather than the current offense. To decide whether a defendant needs to post a monetary bond, a court considers the details of the offense charged, including whether it was a violent crime, the defendant's criminal history, appearance history, drug and alcohol issues, past conduct, and family and community ties. Specifically, courts are directed to consider whether the defendant was on probation or other supervised release, and the danger to any person or to the community from the defendant. If a court decides to impose bond, it must consider all of those things, plus the defendant's financial ability to post a bond. Bond is not a punishment. It is a tool used to ensure that a defendant appears for court dates and complies with the conditions that have been set to protect the safety of the community. To balance the needs for the protection of society with the alleged presumption of innocence, those conditions and financial amounts should be the minimum necessary to ensure compliance. Despite being our longest video to date, this is a very short overview of a very complex process. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have thoughts or requests for other topics, please leave a comment. Thank you.